Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel, and I hope you guys have had a chance to check out the Friday vlog because this will kind of tie into it. But nonetheless, starting it off, deadline, Will Smith banned from Oscars for 10 years. Accept and respect, decision. Actor says. Well, I'm sure he had a lot more to say than just that, I can assure you. With their options rather limited, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences Board of Governors have just decided that Will Smith will not be able to attend the Oscars for 10 years for slapping Chris Rock on stage at the 94th Academy Awards on March 27th. Wow, 94 years. That is a long time. 10 years is a pretty decent amount of time as well, but in Hollywood terms, it's not extraordinarily long. But nonetheless, I've always liked Will Smith. I've always thought his TV shows and him as an actor were very good. I think he's a very competent actor. I've always enjoyed, enjoyed most, if not all, his movies, and not really a huge fan of some of his television show. Was it The Prince of Bel-Air? But I've always respected him as an actor. I always thought he was really good. I've always enjoyed his movies, and especially Men in Black. But we'll just kind of have to keep an eye on it and see how this will affect him in the next 10 years. A huge story today that we have been following now for several years. And we finally find it, or the conclusion we find out here on a Friday, which of course is the slowest news day of the week. From the Washington Post, jury acquits 2 in Michigan governor kidnap plot, deadlocks on 2 others. Partial defeat for the Justice Department's efforts to combat domestic terrorism. Defense lawyers said the men were entrapped by the FBI. Now, of course, I never wanted to speculate on this to suggest that I was thinking that this may have been an issue because, of course, for many, many, many years, activists and others have always said that the FBI, CIA, and others are always finding ways to entrap individuals. And I didn't really want to go down that corridor because, of course, it was just a matter of time sometimes of just waiting. Maybe I'm just a little more patient than they are. I don't know. But I didn't want to speculate on it. A federal jury acquitted 2 men on conspiracies to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and deadlocked on the case against 2 others, apparently agreeing to some degree with defense claims that FBI agents entrapped the men in a violent plot shortly before the 2020 election. And this is pivotal because, as you know, with all of the rioting that was going on after the George Floyd incident, you guys have seen my very popular image that I show you of all of the rioting that went on for several months. But it's important to note here, too, because we just covered this here on the Friday vlog when it came to the Capitol 6 riots and how one of those individuals was also acquitted for being involved because his argument was that he was waved in by the police, and he was. Among those who marched into the Capitol on January 6th, an FBI informant. A member of the far-right Proud Boys texted his FBI handler during the assault, but maintained the group had no plan in advance to enter the Capitol and disrupt the election certification. So there you have it, yet another admission that the Democrats continue to blame. First off, the Proud Boys are not a far-right organization. They were created as a joke by Gavin, his name just went right out of my head. His name is Gavin. His last name just went right out of my head. But nonetheless, it was created as a joke. But, of course, they maintained the group together, and, of course, it's expanded. And Enrico Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys now, has recently been involved in some legal issues. But, of course, that's because they continually pursue them. But when it comes to the Proud Boys, they do not pursue civilians or people in general, much less attack people for having particular flags or particular political opinions. If they engage with anyone, it's always an engagement with Antifa. So if you haven't already, be sure to check out the Friday vlog where I go into more detail about the smears and hate campaign that was continued or continues with the Democrats when it comes to President Trump and those supporting the president. So you guys may recall, rioters set fire to federal courthouse in Portland one day after fencing removed. So as soon as the fencing came down, the rioters went straight for the actual federal building itself. Now, you may recall that President Trump was going to send agents out there, and he did. And this created a great deal of contention and a lot of arguing and fighting and, of course, a lot of political uproar because, as you know, when President Trump offered assistance to many of these Democrat states, with the exception of Kenosha there in Wisconsin, he went out there, and in Wisconsin, for example, as you know, the whole story of Kyle Rittenhouse, the National Guard did go out there and quell all of what was going on there to the best of their ability. So it never really got as bad as Portland or even Seattle. Of course, in Seattle is where they set up the autonomous zone, the Chaz, as it were, where they took over 6 blocks. People seem to have a very short memory in this very contentious political back and forth culture war. So as you see here, rioters targeted the federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon on Thursday evening in renewed clashes between demonstrators and federal police. It's important to emphasize renewed because this went on for a long time. The attack on the courthouse came one day after authorities removed removed fencing initially erected over the summer in response to continued riots following the death of George Floyd, an African-American man killed during an arrest by Minneapolis police officers. So here you can see, this has been going on for quite some time, and President Trump had to take care of it because not everyone in Portland is going to agree with the fact that these individuals continually protest, continually riot, continually create disruptions. Now, it may be in a small portion of the city because, of course, I know individuals who, or an individual who lives in the area goes out there, of course, and is more inclined to side with these particular individuals who went out there. So from what we can see, of course, we also have Portland Andy, who covered a lot of this protesting and rioting himself. If you haven't checked out Portland Andy, you can see him on YouTube. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you smash the like button and or subscribe. As in 2022, we are trying to get more content like this, conservative commentary, to be seen because we are oftentimes suppressed and, of course, deranked. But nonetheless, you can see here, and this is interesting because this is an opinion piece. I want to emphasize that this is an opinion piece because of the way it's worded and the way it's written. And this is kind of how the establishment was putting all of their argumentation together. Trump sent federal agents to Portland to help with his political agenda, not the protest. How in the world is President Trump going to find any sort of political leveraging when the mainstream media and the left and the tech giants and the Democrats are controlling the entire narrative, including language and definition? The actions of the federal government to quell local protests demanding policing reforms shows that reforms at DHS has sorely needed as well. Now, of course, here we go again with the, defunding the police. And of course, that was all different once Joe Biden had his State of the Union, where he used a lot of Trumpisms and saying, we need to support the police, we need to fund the police, and of course, made in the USA. All Trumpisms, which I find incredibly funny. Now, I'm not going to read the whole entire article, but basically, this was during the time when the Democrats were leveraging a lot of this activity to, of course, make Trump look bad, to suggest, of course, that people were unhappy with President Trump. You can imagine. Can you imagine if ordinary people, everyday citizens that work and go to work every day and try to provide for their families, went out and protested against Joe Biden with what's going on right now? It may be fair to say that some people wouldn't even be able to go out and protest because of gas prices and just general prices for things in general, and they need to prioritize what they spend their money on. So they probably wouldn't even be able to go out and protest anyway, just by sheer reasons of financial reasons. And of course, Will Smith banned for 10 years. So that's what I have for you guys today. I want to thank all of you for your support. Those of you on Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute on New Tech, thank you so much for your continued support. And of course, all of you here on YouTube. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out that Friday vlog that I had for you guys this Friday. And I will see you guys in the next video.